Hi everybody, I'm Junichi Kubo. I've worked in the financial industry for 30 years and many times dealt with the trust as a trustee, the settlor, and the beneficiary. Today, I'd like to talk about the railway vehicle trust. This is a photo of Odakyu romance car. In 1957, Odakyu Electric Railway Company, a large railway company in Tokyo area, started operating the Romanska as a limited express connecting Shinjuku and Hakone, a famous hot spring resort. It soon became very popular for its colorful and streamlined body and high running speed. But why does this train have anything to do with the trust? It's because the Railway Vehicle Trust, a new scheme, was used for the introduction of the romance car. Then, what is the Railway Vehicle Trust? Behind the use of the Railway Vehicle Trust was a tight money situation in late 1950s in Japan. Railway companies and railway vehicle manufacturers had a hard time obtaining enough money necessary for purchase or manufacturing of railway vehicles through bank borrowing. Trust banks made industry-wide efforts. They studied the Philadelphia Plan of the United States of America and developed and proposed the Railway Vehicle Trust to railway companies and railway vehicle manufacturers. The Railway Vehicle Trust is the pioneer of movable property equipment trusts in Japan. Then, what is the Philadelphia Plan? In the early 20th century, the rapid expansion of railway networks in the United States required a large number of railway vehicles. A scheme under which entrusted railway vehicles were leased to railway companies was introduced into Japan as the Philadelphia Plan. The structure of the Railway Vehicle Trust is as follows. Odakyu presented the railway vehicle manufacturer the specifications of the romance car, and the railway vehicle manufacturer manufactured the romance car as instructed. The railway vehicle manufacturer entrusted the manufactured romance car to the trust bank and acquired a trust beneficiary interest in return for the entrusted romance car. The trust bank leased the entrusted romance car to Odakyu. The railway vehicle manufacturer then divided the trust beneficiary interest into portions, sold the divided interest to the investors, and received the sales proceeds. By doing so, the railway vehicle manufacturer collected the price of the romance car. I would like to add some explanations. Odakyu had an option to purchase the romance car at the end of the lease period, and it did actually. The trust purposes of the railway vehicle trust were leasing the romance car to Odakyu and selling it to Odakyu at the end of the lease period if Odakyu exercised its purchase option. The trust property included the entrusted romance car, rents receivable against Odakyu, and rents and sales proceeds actually received. The flow of money during the lease period is as follows. Odakyu made a profit by operating the romance car and paid the rent to the trust bank. The trust bank distributed the rent to the investors as trust dividends. The flow of money when Odakyu exercised its option and purchased the romance car is as follows. Odakyu paid the price to the trust bank. The trust bank distributed the sales proceeds to the investors as trust dividends. And the railway vehicle trust terminated. I would like to add some explanations. The trust bank received the rents and the lessee's proceeds, deducted from them the trustee fees and expenses for the trust property administration and the sale of the romance car, and distributed the remaining amounts to the investors as trust dividends. The trust bank just received and distributed money to the investors, and they did not guarantee rent payments by Odakyu or the sales value of the romance car. The investors directly took the default risk of Odakyu and the price fluctuation risk of the romance car. If Odakyu had chosen bank borrowing to finance the purchase of the romance car, the structure would have been simple as follows. Why didn't Odakyu choose bank borrowing? It's because there were difficulties as to bank borrowing at that time. First, after the defeat in World War II, Japan's economy rapidly recovered, which resulted in a tight money situation in late 1950s. That situation made it difficult for Odakyu to obtain enough money for the purchase of railway vehicles through bank borrowing. Second, even if Odakyu had managed to finance the purchase of the romance car through bank borrowing, it would have been obliged to pay a large amount of interest on the bank borrowing from the beginning. The Railway Vehicle Trust has the following advantages. The first one is that, in substance, the investors paid for the romance car, and Odakyu only had to pay rent at the initial stage. The second advantage is that Odakyu could build up a reserve fund from the profit it earned by operating the romance car to pay the price at the end of the lease period. The Railway Vehicle Trust was later used by other railway companies to introduce new railway vehicles. Institutional investors liked the Railway Vehicle Trust as a means of investment because its trust beneficiary interest offered a better return than bank deposits, which at that time were tightly regulated. Before finishing with this presentation, I would like to explain about public notification of trust property. The trust bank, as trustee, must publicly notify that the entrusted railway vehicles belong to the trust property of the Railway Vehicle Trust. However, there is no registration or recordation system for railway vehicles, which enables the trust bank to make such public notification. Thus, the trust bank attached the flying plate to the entrusted vehicles for the public notification purpose. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for watching.